Well, hello! I'm Alone of Finland. This is Space Engineers 2. It has just been released and I wanted to go through it because I play an awful lot of Space Engineers, far too much as some people would say. And I've been looking forward to this game for quite some time. Now, with that being said, I want to hurl some cards onto the table, hard enough to cut through and cause damage. I have not exactly had the best of impressions of Keen Software in the past for several things. I very much like companies that go out and if they've got a game like this that's single player where you have that option of DLC coming out every once in a while that will support future development of the game. And at one point there was a particular message that went out from Keen about the fact that they were using some of the money from the game to support other projects outside of sort of the Keen software house. Basically, they were running some AI stuff. I didn't particularly like that because of the fact that AI was something that people were asking for in the game, just an intuitive sort of entity that would sort of work as opposed to just basic scripts of go there, shoot this thing and rotate at some speed. So I was somebody amongst a lot of other comments that didn't particularly like this, and when I commented on this, one of the things that happened was that they were deleting all of the comments that disagreed with them. And when I was commenting, I was being my best to be respectful and all of that jazz when I was talking, and some of the other comments that I was reading were the same, but they were being deleted. So any sort of dissenting voice was being deleted, and that particularly pissed me off royally, because I think that if you are asking for feedback, you shouldn't be censoring that feedback. Fair play if it's a case of somebody's being nasty to you, but that's something I don't like, and I made it sort of known. That being said, the other side of this is that a lot of the development that went into this, and part of the reason that annoyed me was the fact that a lot of the mods were pulling straight from the community workshop, so it was other people's work that was sort of being rebranded, repackaged and sort of put back out there. So if you're taking from the community for the game, that's where the money should be, and sort of my thought process, my cycle. Obviously everybody's got different opinions to that, you might disagree yourself, and feel free to put the comments down below. Just be respectful even if you're being nasty. But then, with that all being said, one other thing that Keen needs to get props for, big time in my opinion, is the fact that they went out and developed their own game engine. Now, something that you may not know, but something that's a bit of a problem with physics simulators when it comes to Space Engineers or Kerbal Space Program is that making them work inside other people's game engines places a lot more restrictions on them. For instance, one of the big things is that physics processing only happens on one core in the Unity engine. So if you've got a Threadripper that's 20,000 euros, it will work no better than an i5 Intel CPU, because it's the main game is the physics engine, and that's where it limits, because as fast as one core goes is as fast as you're getting out of the game. Now, some other things are done on different cores, but the physics engine is the main part of the game, so it affects everything down to frame rate. So with this being said, this should be very interesting to see what they've done. I'm not sure if that is sort of what's going on, but multi-threading is the one way that would be able to, multi-coring, multi-threading would be the one way that's able to get the performance up in these games, and building your own engine from scratch is the way to start down that path. So I think Keen needs an awful lot of props when it comes to this. They do have some skill there. So what's coming up in here? This is literally, as I'm starting it, saying you're joining Space Engineers 2 in its earliest stages in alpha, which is, to me, that's not a great thing out of the bat, because I would have expected an early access to at least be in the beta stages, but we can rock on. We've got this unified 25 centimeter grid thing, which is essentially, if you've played Space Engineers 1, you had large block and small block, and that was your lot. Now everything's the one block size, which is going to be fantastic for the game. And something I just want to point out to here, if you saw the entire nonsense that happened with Kerbal Space Program, that won't happen here, or that shouldn't happen here, because the entire nonsense that happened with Kerbal Space Program was the fact that with KSP2, when they brought out the game, it was all about the shareholders. It was all about a company that was owned by shareholders that was making the game for profit. Keen are their own company. So that's a whole different thing. They are not cutting 50% of profits and giving it to twonks that gave them money. This is their baby, their thing. And they have done well with their previous games. So that's something that this is, even if it's a little bit jittery in the beginning, there isn't that sort of beholden overlord of the shareholders. So, user friendliness is something they've talked about on some of the videos. They've got a creative powerhouse, i.e. they've made the game engine a bit better and they've added more stuff to it. Performance and control. So better performance. Faster speed, 300 meters per second. So that's triple what the original was, which is sort of good. Obviously, this is a physics simulator again, so the higher that number is, the more things that need to be computed. One of the things that I think would be a good idea, I don't know if they've implemented it, I'm just spitballing here, but EVE Online has time dilation. So when there's too many people on the server, it slows down the tick of the server. I think that in this type of game would be fantastic. Now, it would cause problems in multiplayer, but if you had it so that it was optionable, limitable, then you could sort of work around it, because I think that would be something that would be fantastic. If you've got two of the most massive ships you can create colliding, and then you just bring that physics tick all the way down to as slow as possible so you can see every block being computed, that would be kind of cool. Visual revolution, they've made stuff shinier. There's a whole load of new technology out there, so new stuff that they can utilise. That's always good to see. And then it says next level destruction, experience more realistic destruction with dynamic fractures and debris. Right, then it's got a glimpse of the future. Now, I'm not going to go through this stuff for a very specific reason. There is a key component of early access that says what you are buying is the game there, and what they are selling is the game there. They have to put in a roadmap for what may happen, but that is not what they have sold you. What they have sold you is what is in front of you. This became a big issue with Kerbal Space Program because that game didn't meet any of the requirements for early access. So it should never have been on Steam in the first place, but Steam refused to take it down because big money box or whatever the hell was going on in the background. But that's why I'm not going to touch on that stuff, because this game is what is in front of you at the moment, and although there is an expectation and a hope that the game will move forward, and for Keen I very much expect them to move forward with this, that's not what is being sold. And people have different opinions on that, but at the end of the day, you're paying for one thing, and if you don't get anything else, then you don't get anything else. And there has been a few things, like for instance Hellion is one that sticks in my mind, where there was a very good basis for a game and then they just stopped developing and cut the losses, and a whole load of people that had early access all of a sudden had nothing. So that's something to always bear in mind. So with that being said, let's just have a look in new game first. What do we get? We get creative and we get worlds. Explore handcrafted worlds. Unlimited tools and infinite resources. So first, let's just go quick start and see what it throws me into. The Concordia Research Facility. Should be interesting. So, again, this is the sort of update of their V-Rage or Voxel Rage engine. This appears to be V-Rage 3. I'm not sure about 1, but what we have here to begin with, we have our stuff. So we have very nice man, looking very good. Controls are roughly the same, and we have now. This is just something that is like really funny to me. If you look at the thruster placement, why should I get his hand up? Oh, because I'm making something. If you look at the thruster placement, if you go to your couch and lie down exactly where that thruster is, like on your back, and see if you can balance, which to me suggests space engineers have been in space for such a long time that their leg bone density has dropped away to almost nothing, because that thruster should be down by their pelvis. Well, it's just something that's always funny to me, but that looks really good. And we do have sort of raycasting shadows. Very nice, very nice. The engines are looking good, so this just looks like a massive graphical update. The rocks are looking good. Do we have any tools? What's this? A debug gun tool. Okay, Doesn't do anything to them. And we have... they finally put a paint gun in. How about our lights? Seem to cast okay. They are casting shadows. So that looks good. So there is a fair chunk of graphical updates, which are looking nice. Got some little ships here. Gatling cannons. Let's have a look at the cannons. I have no HUD for the game. So this is in the menu. Let's turn auto lock on for a second. Where's my cannons? Right, I'm tapping through the number keys. I can't seem to be getting a control for firing it. Let's go into settings. Display, graphics, audio, GUI. Interesting. So we don't seem to have any controls for actually firing the cannons, which is a weird choice. It is looking very good. The cockpit's looking good, but I can't seem to pull the view back far enough to be able to see the screens. That would be something that would be useful, because for me, when I'm mining, I usually have a couple of screens up there that I can see and use. Did that break me? It didn't break me. Okay, well, let's have a look at this first of all. So this is the new damage engine. We have some minor deformation. Okay, let's use this debug tool. Ooh. Okay, so that's just the same sort of damage, voxel damage that we've had before. Okay, so that's a little bit disappointing, to be honest. The window came out, and it's just clipping through. So there's a few more effects. That looks better at the back end. We have some fire and some stuff here, but it's sort of basic fire engine, fire animations. Let's take out an engine. That looks a bit better. So these are, they're moving a bit better, but they're not parts. So it's just a sort of graphical thing, the damage, it looks like. Now, here I can see it already. We have this sort of, how did they put it? The unified grid system. So we have sort of large blocks there, but then smaller blocks. So like the light is tucked in there. So those blocks are just larger blocks, but they are placed further apart. Let's see if I can... there we go. So it's not letting me place something here, which is a bit weird. So we have this, and then we have controls. So if I'm holding down control, we've got our rotation controls. And then we've got B for creating a blueprint, R for auto rotation. Not quite sure about that one. T for symmetry, and P for partial. What about size? That's what I'm looking for. Okay. That's kind of weird. I can't find any size sort of thing there. So let's go to, what's this one? 9. So these are smaller, so that might just be that it's selecting smaller blocks. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, first, let's go and have a look at voxels. So we've got the lovely voxel orb, we can rotate, which is a bit funny for a sphere. So obviously we have to test the TTD. Easy to place. What's this one? This is taken away. Is it? Oh no, it's changing texture. Ah, there we go, right. And then what's this one? Reset all voxel changes. Ah, okay, so that's sort of not deleting but reverting. So now it's got a cancerous bubble. So fairly simple there. Let's have a look at this one. So we have a little miner there. A lot more detail on the actual miners. Let's give it a bit of a fly. So again, yeah, this is where I'd like to see the screens, but let's have a look at what we've got here. So clicking is giving us the drills in this. So it's just the guns that we can fire. Again, simple enough graphics. You don't need much to make them look pretty, but at the same time, for all of the new stuff, the flame effects are a little bit dated. I would have sort of... I wonder if they're going to sort of try and apply volumetric or something like that. I know it's a lot of work, and obviously the physics engine, there's only so much you can do, so something to have a look out for in the future. If you don't know, volumetric is where the sort of the clouds actually move around the physical objects. It's something that was... They made a big deal out of it when they did it to Counter-Strike. Which in my opinion was kind of daft that they made this big deal about, we've got volumetric clouds in Counter-Strike 2. You got a whole load of people going, have you done anything about the actual hackers that don't see through, they don't see the clouds? But no. So now I'm parking this here specifically because I'm gonna pop some stuff. Oh, did I? Oh, I don't remember. So let's actually have a look at what's on here. So we have some of the gyroscopes, and if you've seen some of the newer Space Engineers updates, you can definitely see that they've made some of this stuff and sort of either made it for this game and put it into the last game, and or something along those lines. These little pillars look quite nice. I don't have access to the cargo. What do we have here? So we have armor blocks, various different shapes, automation, which is just buttons at the moment, character gear, tools. Oh, so there's no weapons or stuff like this. So this is very limited compared to Space Engineers before. So we have one cockpit and one control seat. Some decorative stuff. One reactor and one solar panel. One door. A couple of lighting choices. Cargo container for logistics. Landing gear. Ion thruster. Gyroscope. Assembler and refinery. Medical room. Some structural stuff. So we're actually missing an awful lot from the previous game. Like connectors. There is no connector in this game. And it looks like there's no way to move stuff to a container, or... Did I see one over here? So that's a refinery. Yep. But you can't access it. There's a cargo container. But it's got no access. So it's just a block at the moment with nothing in it. So that's a curious choice. So a lot of the functionality is out of this. This is very, very similar to when Space Engineers was originally released on Early Access itself, which, I gotta be honest, I'm actually a little bit disappointed about that, because you can understand a first-time company making their first or second game that is releasing something in such an unpolished state, but for somebody that's already got an established game that they're building off of, I know that they're building a new engine and there's a lot of new stuff, but essentially if you're missing that stuff, then this is just a tech demo of the new Voxel Rage. And if it's just a new tech demo of the Voxel Rage system, then that's specifically against the whole early access thing. It's supposed to be a functional game, not just a tech demo. So that is kind of annoying at the moment. Right now, so this is its sort of copy of the blue ship, and I'm just going to take this out here, and we are still moving about. You can see that we are moving faster, but I'm just going to do the old trick and slam it into this one and see how well the destruction's working, because this was the major selling point. The new Voxel Rage, the new creating of blocks, the 25 centimeter grid blocks, and then the destruction and extra physics. And there we go. We apologise for the inconvenience. See the log for details. And we have crashed out of the game. So, what would you call that? A functional tech demo? Just to explain while I'm trying to load it up, Steam hasn't actually registered this as crashed yet, so it's taking a bit of time. So it is a hard crash, it's not closing it down, it is just sort of locking it out. Now I do have reporting enabled, I believe. Let me just check in here. Yeah. Share contract information, so it should be sending that stuff back. Let's continue and see what happens again. It did boot up very quickly there. You just saw me clicking on, so that is quite fast kick up, which is impressive. I think it's probably particularly impressive for me because I've been going back and playing a bit of Kerbal Space Program, and because mine has like 200 mods in it, it takes 10 minutes to load into the game. This is a lot less to load, so obviously it's going to be a little bit less. So I'm going to go and give that another shot. Oops. Oh, let's actually, where's the Voxel Ragey thing? Yeah, so there was a big thing about the destruction, and yeah, there does appear to be slightly better destruction, but it's not physics based. It's, you can sort of see as I kill the window there, it's clipping through everything else, so it's just prettiness, which is not anything new in gaming. So yeah, I sound disappointed because I am, that's it. But when you're sort of talking about that, I thought it was all physics based, and oh look, there's extra bits here, so, but it's just sort of prettiness and extra imagery, which is nah. I expected more. If you're going to go out and talk about collisions and crashes and updated engine and processing, the fact that somebody can manage to knock it out by a full speed crash, that's not good. And one more crash. Yep. Let's put this back up. There, we're back in. Let's load this back up again. I might actually load a separate save, a separate start, and see if it's something to do with that. But that, yeah. Already being, what am I in now? I've lost my count. Oh, that was an interesting noise. What the hell was that? let me just try, I'm going to try smashing that into the voxels and see what that does. But yeah, this is like half of the thing of Space Engineers. One build to destroy. So the destruction part is not working so well. On that, where's my physics tool? I'll just go straight in here. They got the mass and swing right. That's something that's come over well from the original. Let's just have a look at that destruction. So it did punch into the rock. You can see where it's destroyed the voxels, which is nice. Not sure how much of this cave system was here already. It's not destroyed much of the ship, which is... it could just be that it's harder. And Space Engineers has sort of more recently focused on all of the combatiness, so I can understand why that would be a bit of an advantage. So, placing down control seats, nice and easy. This may be a mild problem where I can't actually see where I'm going, but let's give it a shot. Just going to smash into this one. Ooh, a good slice through. Ah, it's recording the blocks and telling you how much you've got. Right, slapping on the brakes. Let's have a look at the front of this. We did take out another chunk of it, which is nice. How did the station fare? Because we should have clipped it here. So you got a little bit of... there's a little bit of deformation there, which is fine. It's looking good, but it's not looking like too much more from the original. You got a block cut off there, you got a fair chunk of damage here, but it's not too different. Also that, oh, that camera angle's an internal one. Right, let's take this over and try and slam it in. But yeah, so as it's sort of running at the moment, it is missing a lot of the functionality of Space Engineers. It's far closer to the original Space Engineers Alpha, which is particularly disappointing for a company that's, you know, already done that. I could understand a mentality of let's release it the same way we did, but you're a bigger company now, you're doing it better. A lot lighter damage. Not much of that damage transferring through parts. So you've got a little bit of deformation there, but not too much. And then 1 block's worth of damage to the big ship, so trying to make little ramming boarding ships might be interesting. So that's a little bit weird to me. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, I'm just slamming stuff together because it crashed, so I want to see exactly where the physics engine is and what its limits are. It seems that a crash over 200 meters is not good for the big ships. Oh, we didn't crash there, that's good. Sort of well melted together, that's nice. So it can handle some crashes, maybe it's just this one that's causing an issue. Or maybe it's... oh, there's an idea actually, maybe it's just the 2 floating grids that are an issue, one of those was static. Let's go and slap another floating grid in. I'll just take out some of this. It looks good, don't get me wrong, it absolutely looks good. It's annoying that that's just graphical. Maybe it's not going to be graphical in the future, but at the moment it is, and that is kind of disappointing. So we're just looping this out. I'm going to slam this one back in, then I'm going to have a look at some of the building stuff. Now, I'm going to try and aim a bit more for the red ship. Now that looked like a better crash, but without a crash, which is ironic. Yeah, good scar down the ship. Nice little bit. So it has maintained some of it. I wonder what that initial crash is all about. But again, we are still looking quite nice. So that's kind of good. Just in my head there, I'm just thinking it looks good, but it's lacking in any real substance, which is, to me, this screams like the bare minimum you could get away with. If you had released an alpha like this before, which Space Engineers, which Keen did, and then they've kind of released the same sort of tech demo alpha for the second time, maybe they thought that's all we have to release, or something like this. It's, to me, it's disappointing because they've done better. They made their previous game better, so I would have expected even an early access game from them, especially priced at €30, to be a mainly functional game as opposed to a tech demo of the building blocks. For that, we still have this sort of creative mode. You can put stuff around there. Oh, scrolling the wheel actually changes it goes up and down through this, as opposed to options in the block. That'll take a bit of getting used to. So to shift this, you have to press R. So R is for size, but it also goes through the options, which is, instead of having you scroll through the options. It's not exactly intuitive to me, but that's most probably because I come from the old system. So let's, while we are here, actually, let's take something off of the back here. So we're going to try and put a nice block up. We're going to bulk it up and try it again. There we go. Then yes. Right, I'm trying to get symmetry. That's what I want. So hitting T and then hitting M. Ah, so you're only hitting shift for the plane this time, not just control and shift. That makes it easier, so you've still got movement. Whoa, that's taking a bit of time to put down. Right. Well, let's try this new copy mechanic. Let's have a look. So if we go here, oh, B, create blueprint. Not all of it. Right mouse button, control B. Nope, not that. Ah, partial copy. P. There we go. Change size. Control for precise. I'm just going to scroll out to this. There's a good place to put this. So it won't let you do it if it's intersecting. Oh, there we go, I managed to hit it. So it's giving us a wall there. Alright, hitting Control V. We get that back again. Beautiful. Okay, so from somebody that's played it for a while, it'll take probably a little less time to get used to the new controls than the old ones. Has this got a ship in it? Fantastic. So the building controls, yeah, more precise, a little bit different, but I can sort of understand some of the changes, especially if you're looking at selling this on consoles and stuff like this. Although I can understand wanting to play Space Engineers while you're away, but the physics engine running on consoles is just terrifying to me. So let's just run this through. Honestly, I was expecting a bit more penetration. As said, almost every teenage boy ever. It seems to be damaged towards the side, I'm not quite sure about that. So I'm going to pull it back and give another shot and see what damage this does. I'll try and get up to full speed. So yeah, at the moment this, to me this is a tech demo of the new building blocks because there isn't much else in it. The other functional blocks, like refineries and stuff like that, are not functional. There is no conveyor system, so there is no utility for other stuff. You don't have guns, you don't have you've got a debug tool which just destroys stuff. Let me just test this. Yeah, you got some physics interaction between the player and the thing, so there is some mass there, but I don't entirely disagree with the armour being harder. I think that's something that is needed. It's just a little bit more disappointing. I wonder if it was sort of more pointy or penetrating if it would work, but it's a little bit of a weird sort of setup at the moment because you've essentially got, oh, do we have, oh, we've got a whole load of diagnostic tools there. A lot of diagnostic tools there. Screenshots, we don't even have the sort of master. Let's try and get that off. Okay, I am trying to get back to my character. There I am. Yeah. Characters here. So we do have this free roaming camera. Let's have a look. Same thing inside the voxels, which is nice. Is there anything out at the other ones? No. Yeah, so at the moment it's a tech demo. So it's similar to the way the previous one was. There's not much functionality in it. You've got building from blocks, but you've got basic blocks, basic thrusters, basic damage, a weird stability issue with crashes, which is like the second most common thing you're going to do after building. Yeah. If this... I say if. When this was the first Space Engineers game, this, as a release, I could understand. But, oh, and the magnetic books change the camera on stairs. Do they? Oh no, that's a gravity engine. That's actually a good point. Let's test that. Okay. F. Gravity generator. Power it off. Oh. That means that one of the external ships is messing with my gravity. Let's just cut a big old hole to get out. Oh, I wonder if this works. Oh, it does. Yeah, copied and pasted with damage. So, yeah, how far away does that work? There. Right, so I'm just getting them out of the way. And then I just want to test this on the platform. So, without gravity, without thrusters on, we've got our sort of mag boots. And on the ramp, we tilt to the ramp. But on the stairs, we also tilt to the stairs. So, there was something that they were saying about that, about the way that the gravity boots work, that they would be better on the different types of surfaces, but so that's something I had expected. Just a little thing, but yeah, when they were sort of talking about it, that's kind of how I had expected it. So, lovely Gibbs, lovely destruction Gibbs, but not physics objects, just disappearing Gibbs. So I've got to admit, I'm quite disappointed with this. I'm sure that it's going to get better. But at the moment, from a company that's already done so much with their games previously, especially a game that this is based off of, it is a bit disappointing. So that you're leaving behind a physics object. There's a question. Let's answer that question. Where's... give me a solar panel. Last little test. Yeah, as I said, I am... both are for different size, and then... shift. Put that there. I then need... what do I need? Oh, I only get these in 2 choices. So let's just... oh no, that's not right. Right, I'm surrounding it with a frame there, specifically so that I can try and lock this into place. And oh well, it's connected to that, so that should do us. Then, physics tool. There we go, punch a little hole in the middle. Does this have a working... No, it doesn't. Give me a cockpit. There we go. So getting used to those little bits of controls. Right. Just want to test if this is sort of possible to get this through. How does it affect? So the parts that are still there are solid physics objects, that's fine. And if we go back to this, punch that, punch that. So it is leaving behind a solid physics object, which is good. But what's coming off of it is not. And you can see it's sort of... Well, it was talking... Hold on. Just look at that for a second. It was talking about how it was sort of predetermined, but if you look, I'm just hitting it with one pulse, and it's hitting roughly the same quarter every time. So it's... This isn't what was being said, it was sort of a more realistic thing. And it was insinuating, I think is the best way of putting it, that it was breaking along the fractal lines of the smaller grid. But it's not, it's just sort of predetermined. A bit randomised, but look at that, those were the exact same. So it's pre-fracturing. So not exactly what was being put forward. I'm just disappointed, that's it. I'm disappointed in this. There is a lack of a timeline, but that is by design, not from Keen's point of view, but actually from Steam. They specifically advise against doing this, against putting timelines out for early access because of fluctuating things. So that's not on Keen for this. But from a company that's already got a game that is so heavily established that this is a sequel to, releasing an early access in this state that is essentially a tech demo. It's like, oh look, we've got breakable panels, we've got this new block system, that's it. We've got new graphics. But that's it. And that's... I'm not impressed. I'm very much not impressed. I would have expected more. Yeah, sure, you go back a while, then that was it. And again, they are getting props because they are using their own engine for it. But for me, the sort of... I think it was Pirate Software that was saying there's three main reasons. The reasons that you want for building your own game engine is A, that it doesn't do... that a game engine that already exists doesn't do what you need. Which is actually true of Unity and Kerbal Space Program, because the orbits of the planets, the planets can't be tilted off axis because of the way that Unity works. So that was a significant problem with making, like for instance, a real solar system mod. You had to work around the fact that the orbital plane couldn't be changed, or the angle of rotation couldn't be changed for the planets. And then you've got things where defining pixels. But this type of voxel building system does exist in other engines. What they were actually saying, like when Pirate Software was talking about it, the other reasons are you basically doing it for your own jollies, which is not something you should be doing. And then it's like, what were the other two reasons? The first one was it doesn't work. What you want to do doesn't work in somebody else's engine. The second one was, the third one was that you have a big ego and you think that game developers need to make their own engine. And the sort of second one in the middle was that you want to learn how to make a game engine, which is a valid reason. I would add a fourth one onto that list myself, is that you make more money from your game if you own the engine, because you have to pay a cut, for instance, to Unity if you're leasing their engine, etc. So it's a valid point. And for something like Space Engineers, you would have more control over how your engine interacts and things like this. But then if you're going to make big promises about what it does, and like, oh, the damage is specific and stuff like this, but then you just see carbon copy footprints and realise that it's just the same, it's not actually based on the way you were describing it, that's not good. So for me, unfortunately, this is a disappointment. And this is where we come into the future potential. Keen Software are their own company. They're not owned by shareholders. They are their own things, so this will keep getting developed, because at the end of the day, that's more money for them. As it stands at the moment, I wouldn't... This isn't a game on its own. This is a tech demo, plain and simple. It doesn't have the functionality of its predecessor. It doesn't have the functionality anywhere near its predecessor. And I can understand people saying that it's in alpha, but this has the same, possibly less functionality than the original Space Engineers when it went into alpha at the same stage. The only difference is the updates to the game engine with lighting and things like this, but these are updates that are sort of coming from the other side of it. They are things that are easier to do now because of the technology and the cards and stuff like this. So it's implementing them. It's like the thing with Kerbal Space Program where they were saying, oh, we've got a huge graphical update. They've released it, and I'm sat there having several mods that make my Kerbal Space Program look as good as KSP2 when it was released. They're like, well, you haven't really done much if that was there already. It was just something that needed a couple of tweaks to implement. But there is a lot of work in this, and I'm very torn because I don't like this the way it is, and I think they should have released more when they released, even if it was delayed. Releasing this as a tech demo, well, it's against the early access things. That particularly pisses me off. And the idea of doing this is annoying, and I can understand getting a bit of revenue in for pushing it forward, but you're an existing game company. So there's that. It's meh. Having said that, it will be something to look out for. It's not a game like, for instance, what I've said about Kerbal in the past. I immediately refunded that game with the state of it, because with the corporate overlords and stuff like this, it was never going anywhere. And I was shouted down at the time, but it's just imploded on itself. Keen isn't in that same position. It doesn't have the corporate overload, so they will keep developing. So it's not something I personally would refund now that I've bought it, but it's something that if I knew that it was so basic yesterday, I wouldn't have bought it. I did actually pre-order it the second it came up for pre-order, because I love the game and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. But I'm also a little bit concerned. My concern stems from the fact that they thought this was enough. So, and for a lot of people it will be. but at the moment it isn't. So there's that. So I think that's the note that I'll end on, is it's not enough at the moment. I just had one random thought while I'm going to do that, and I will end on that random thought, which is, can you... Oh, no, don't want that. I wanted this. The intuitive design is failing me. Nah. So it crashed again. Literally what you just saw there, locked up the game, and when the game crashed, about 30 seconds later, the PC crashed. I don't exactly know what was going on there. I'm not going to go through and investigate it. To provide some context, just in case, I'm running an 11900 CPU, Intel CPU. I'm running off an M2 drive. I've got, what is it? My motherboard is one of the Strix, I think 590, something like that. And I've got a 4070 Ti GPU. Nothing is overclocked. Everything is up-to-date drivers, and yeah, so that was what, 4 crashes? I can't remember. Several crashes, and one of them that killed the computer. So not exactly impressive as it stands at the moment. Not particularly impressive tech demo. Yeah, it's new shiny stuff, but it's... yeah. The damage physics doesn't seem to be changed much from the previous, and they were making a bit of a deal about this. The actual... oh, there's a lovely post right here about it. When they're talking about creative mode, they've got all of these blocks. Space Engineers 2 blocks. But, like for instance, the guns don't work. The refinery and the assembler don't work. There is no conveyors between any of these things. So, to me, this is a little bit deceptive that you're putting them in, because you're going, oh, look at this shiny stuff. But it doesn't actually do anything. You don't have the ability to fire guns. You don't have the ability to put anything on toolbars. Doors work, lights work. All of this is very basic stuff. And the stairs one, again, one of the things that they were saying was the new mag boots. Well, when you're using the new mag boots and you're going down a set of stairs, it's still just a texture. It acts as if it's a ramp, so you don't stay vertical, you tilt over. So little things like that are actually big things, because it shows that there's a very basic sort of thing going on there. So yeah, it says here the word alpha is really important. Releasing Space Engineers 2 in such an early stage of development isn't just a milestone for us, it's a deliberate choice. It reflects our commitment to transparency, collaboration, and building something incredible together. There is a specific statement. Oh, where the hell is it actually? Yeah, so there's certain specifics within the rules for early access games. They're sort of on the right of the screen at the moment. But one of the things is that if you have a tech demo but not much gameplay yet, then it's too early to launch in early access. This is part of the rules. You see Rule 6 here. If you're testing out a concept, you haven't figured out what players are going to do in, well, that's not true of this. Because Space Engineers is what we know. This is part of the reason I'm so annoyed, is that there was so much in the previous game that had been fleshed out and worked out, so it isn't much to put that into the new game. Yes, you're building on a different engine, but you know how your conveyors are going to be working. So putting in that, oh, you can do mining. Can you do anything or get anything from the mining? No. You've got refineries. Are they functional blocks? No. They're cargo blocks. Is there anything to put in them or anything to take from them or any storage space there? No. Well, that's not a game then, is it? You've got a whole load of placeholders, which means that it's not a game, it's a tech demo. So that's where this gets annoying to me, because it's it's just not worth it. An early access is supposed to be priced at what is available on the early access. And for €30, that's not much. Yes, it's got shiny lights. Yes, it's got a new sort of version of their engine. But that's not enough. The lights are something that's come with the advances in GPUs. The newer stuff for the voxel placement, it's actually been done in other games already. So it's not something that's new. While it's new to that engine, and when you've got so much to pull from previously, then putting something out that is this basic, that is as basic as the first Kerbal game when it came out with comparative technology, it's not great. It's not impressive. So, questions and comments and stuff like that down below. Obviously, I'm going to get a lot of people that dislike this video because you guys are all fans. Probably missing the fact that I am so annoyed because I am a fan of Space Engineers. So, but you are more than welcome to leave criticisms, to leave disagreements and things like this. The only thing that I ask is that be respectful and kind. Constructive criticism, creative criticism is always welcome. But don't be rude, don't be name calling or stuff like that and the things. Comments like that will just get sort of booted. That's the way I always will. I love criticism because that's how you challenge your own views. I don't about crudeness. So that's the way it be. As per usual, all of that is welcome. There will be links and random stuff below. I will put in a link for Space Engineers down below in the doobly-doo if you want to go and check it out. Again, this is a company. Keen is its own company. It's not owned by shareholders. So the whole Kerbal Space Program 2 fiasco, where it just stopped development, I don't see that happening with this game. I see this continuing and getting better over time. So that is definitely something you should look for. At the moment, there's not much there. I played it for 2 hours-ish, I think. Maybe not even that. And I've kind of exhausted everything that you can really do with it, aside from putting blocks together. So, yeah. And the amount of crashes in that time, not impressive. So, yeah. That's the game as it is. That's what you've seen. Looks very pretty. Ain't much there. The girlfriend liked that once. So, bye!